Hey, Bub, this is Wolverine. You're watching Pro Teaches Noobs. This is OG Vegeta. Let's get the views to over 9,000! This is Ryuk. Watch, like, and subscribe, or die.
Hey guys, welcome to a special lesson of Pro Teachers Do. As Pika here has become the first student to reach 100 lessons.
Oh, cheers to that.
Yep, you've been and I gotta ask, and all after so over 100 lessons, how much have you learned about comics?
More than I probably did in the beginning. So many things that I probably would have just gone in one ear and out the other if I just thought about it while I'm looking it up from somewhere else.
The big example, of course, being when we went over the Death and Return of Superman trilogy, and you realized how important the funeral was.
Yeah, that especially.
Yeah, that's always gonna be something I'm proud of, knowing that I was able to show you, like I've shown others, just how important that funeral really is. Because for most people, it's like, oh, it's the funeral. Who cares? It's like, it's not just the funeral.
Yeah, the funeral, that was the thing. The latter half, or maybe not the half, the middle point with the whole Cadmus arc. That's where it went.
A little bit, yeah. And that was more like, the middle or towards the end.
Yeah, the latter, then the end part with Parkin's out-of-body experience, that was the...
And Lexus gotcha!
Yeah, that's where it went there.
Yeah.
But now with this is actually something that I would like to say that...
Yep.
You know how when people usually ask, what got you into comics?
This one?
Yeah, but not just maybe this one. But Finland has had, for the longest time, for many decades, a weekly Aku Ankka comic book. That's Donald's, the Finnish.
Right.
Donald Duck, Aku Ankka, which has been there, and that has basically been what most kids read. The first thing they read.
A lot of people don't know that Scrooge and Donna are still going strong in that area. Your place, Finland, Italy, it is still dominating.
Yeah, it's still going on, and not to mention there's still the Donald Duck's pocket book, or the Finnish translation Aku Ankan taskukirja. That has been also started coming out in it's mostly those translated Egmont, the Italian stories. Right. They started out sometime in the 60s or 80s. My dad had some of the old ones that he collected. That's where they were in the less than hundreds or so. And currently they should be above 1,000 in the numbers. Wow. They had one book per month every year.
They're still a bit behind on 2000 AD, but still.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we are going over, not as like me doing the read through as much as I want to. But yeah, we're going over the life and times of Scrooge McDuck by Don Rosa. Basically, this is one of the big cases of continuity porn, where Don Rosa looked at all the history that Karl Barks had done and decided to fill in the gaps to make a cohesive story. Apparently, Karl Barks was actually he didn't trash it, but he was all like, really? You had to do something like that?
Yeah, and my copy is signed.
Yep, I have an autograph. I'm going to share it one more time. Hold on. Just a second.
But still, it goes to say that most of these creators, you live in the same country as some of those creators. I have to be on the lookout if they visit Finland. And
right.
This was maybe one of those cases when I just learned that he's visiting one of the local Finnish bookstores. And I just went, whoop, going.
Oh, yeah, I don't blame you. It's like what I wanted to do when I heard that our Spiegelman was going to be at a nearby convention. But then I found out, he's only going to be doing a lottery for autographs. I'm like, no, not worth it. Hold on. Let me just share the artwork. Now, like I've told you before, originally I was going to have him do Scrooge as an Orlando. He says he don't do that. He don't do fan art type of thing like that. but he went a compromise and did orange highlights and everything.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, hey, good compromise.
Yeah. That's
let's be honest. If anyone would be an Orange Lantern, Scrooge would be one of them.
Yeah.
Although not as bad as others, like Ebenezer.
It's that he probably could get over in a momentary relapse.
But where people keep on thinking, you know, and I think the cartoon really amped it up a bit. Which I also want to make clear, Don Rosa does not hate Ducktales. He does not hate it. He just hates how people treat it like they're one and the same when they're not. Which I don't blame him for that.
Yeah.
But he has never hated it.
Yeah. Kind of
sad. Let's get started, shall we?
Yeah.
As we go over the life and times of one of Disney's best and yet still underrated characters. Now I gotta ask. I'm gonna try. I'm not the greatest at doing a Scottish voice and trying to do Alan Young or David Tennant. I'm gonna do my best though.
Yeah, Pekka Autiovuori's voice is also kind of.
It's both great voices. Can I give it one downside I have for David Tennant though? It was too young a voice.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that? Like it doesn't match the age.
No, and they kind of made it so that it's evergreen young or something that evergreen of an age.
Right, which again, it was a great voice, and he did phenomenal. I do feel he's worthy of taking over from Alan Young. Would you agree with that? Like he is worthy of taking over from Alan Young, but it's just the age difference.
Yeah, it's that's kind of weird. But it's still kind of weird looking at from like the Finnish perspective because Pekka Autiovuori voiced Scrooge in both versions of the Ducktales, the original from the late 80s, 90s, and in the 2017 version. He was in both.
Right. Now let's get in. Now here's one I was going to make clear. Scrooge never in the comics thought his dime was lucky. In fact, complete opposite.
Yeah.
The complete opposite. It was never a lucky dime, but it was of symbolic value. Why they call it a lucky number one dime, I don't know, but it was never lucky.
Maybe the Italians were the ones who came up with it.
I think the cartoon did it first.
Yeah, the cartoon and then the Italians with the egg with what they have been doing. There's it mostly been like, for example, those pocket books I mentioned. There are some of those older stories where there was one story where it was a literal Deus ex machina where I think
that's one of the extra stories. If it's what I think it is, if I think it is, that's going to be one of the extra stories. I think. Was it a Don Rosa story?
No, it wasn't.
Oh, never mind then.
It was one of the Italians.
He did some stuff for Italians, so that's what I'm saying. But
that wasn't one of them.
But yeah, this is where his father, I believe, is talking about Castle McDuck. Like, there it is, lad. Castle McDuck. It's time ye learned something of your ancestors. After all, 'tis the eve of your 10th birthday. Are ye listening, Scroogey? Aye, Papa. Why have we never brought me here before, Papa? 'Tis a long trip from Glasgow, just to be a reminder of our former glory. And glorious our ancestors were, the only clan tough enough to tame dismal downs. This vast moor is still our land, but no McDuck has dared live here since the days old. The Hound, and they bring up the Hound, that I remember the cartoon did their own take on.
Yeah.
I like that. The cartoon were faithful in many ways, just doing their own thing. I'm Fergus McDuck, and I cannot trespass on my own land. McDuck, you better bugger off before the Hound gets your scent. I'm no afraid of no silly legend, and I've a good mind to poke your eye. Ow! Let the other way, Scroogey. I think I hear your mama calling me from way back in Glasgow. But here, though, I will say, I actually liked what the cartoon did.
Which one?
You know what it was? Turns out, Seamus McDuck, an ancestor, had decided to build on what was their stone circle, their property, and thus they used the hound to make, to scare people off because it was their land rightfully. I actually like that idea, as opposed to here where it's just a bunch of scumbags.
Yeah.
Yep. But of course, Scrooge is, and we see, and I think this is referencing something that does get done in Carl Barks.
Yeah, maybe the Jake.
But that's the other thing I remember. He does not retell stories. He sets things before or after.
Around most of them.
Yes. Yep. And of course, we also have Scrooge's sisters, Matilda and
Hortense.
Yeah, Hortense. Hortense is Donald's mom.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that. But of course, this is where we get the shine set. And yep, he cleans off all the boots and everything. And then he wakes up. When he wakes up, he has an American dime, which is worthless. Because they're in Scotland. How is an American dime gonna do anything?
Yeah, not to mention that it would take way too much work and effort to go to wherever you can transfer that money into local currency.
But this is where he feels he was scammed. This should have been a lesson. It should be a lesson. Life is filled with tough jobs, and there will always be Sharpies to cheat me. Well, I'll be tougher than the toughies and sharper than the Sharpies, and I'll make my money square. And see what I mean? This is why he would never look at his lucky, because this ain't luck. This is not luck. The cartoon definitely dropped this part of it, but yeah, he would never. I mean, would you look at it lucky with what it represents?
No,
I wouldn't.
No. I remember that the 2017 version made it be pretty much the same thing, but they had Fergus had lived long enough to tell that he set this whole thing up.
But I do like that he then started doing other things, and he's showing his wits and all that. Yep. And such as cleaning off, their shoes like this for 4 pences, all that. Although I also like how his father now feels maybe he over-inspired him. Whoops. But yeah, he saved it up to buy a horse and cart, showing that he know how to handle money.
Yeah. Yeah, like cheap burn wood and expensive turvetta.
Yep, and soon discovered that selling beat blocks to the rich was even more profitable. Grossly overpriced. But so actually, he does deal with those hooligans. And at least to make his way inside, and then he meets one of the other McDuck. Especially since you're a McDuck. Oh, I can tell by looking at ye. Still, I've never been inside this castle, and it is high time you had a grand tour into the main hall with ye. And great hunk! It must look at just as it did the day my ancestors left. Aye, nobody comes near the place, especially not those craven Whiskervilles. Did McDucks wear those huge suits of armor? Not the entire suits, lad. Enemy helmets were no design for low-angle viewing. That's why the McDucks were some fearsome warriors.
Short kings.
The McDuck and that dabbatry didn't do so well. That's Sir Eisner McDuck, who was felled during a Saxon siege of 946. His serfs deserted because he only paid 30 copper pieces per hour for a lot of them. And this is Sir Swampo McDuck, who sealed the castle dungeons in 1220 when it became too expensive to operate a proper dungeon. This was once a noble house, lad. McDuck sailed forth in fear of no man, born or woman, except maybe the tax collectors. I can see now where Scrooge gets it from.
Yeah.
Yep, so this is still where we feel like he could go to America, the land of opportunity, to seek his fortune. And yeah, because he is, not the youngest, he's the youngest male, he is the last of the clan.
Yeah, because
in a way he is.
Yeah.
Because, of course, his sisters would marry into a different family. But
Yeah.
then,
The
oh, look at
bloodline
this.
would still be alive through them.
Yeah. And look at that. Again, showing just how smart he is. Oh, but apparently it was. Why didn't you show him where your treasure was hidden? Nay, if Scrooge is to achieve greatness, he must work for it. Only then will he regain our honor. But really, I don't think I look as frightening as all that graveyard nonsense. You know, Bodie Prince Charlie and Prince Charlie. Oh, shut up. So yeah, he was a ghost.
Yeah.
But
those
yeah.
reveals that
Mm-hmm.
actually pays off when we get
when we get to the very end. Yeah, this is a perfect, bring things full circle. I love it though. He's so small, like Wanted, cabin boy, and he sure heads out. I wonder what it'll be, and will I be a success, or will it be nothing waiting for me in America? And then, sure enough, he made his way there, and he looks a little older, mostly because a lot of boat traveling is long.
Yeah, especially back in the this was in the late 1800s.
Yep, and he's also trying to meet up with his uncle Angus, wondering if he made his fortune. Excuse me, sir. Do you know where I can find Angus McDuck? You mean old Pothole? He's where he always is, on Derby Eve. Try the saloon in the Galt House at First and Main, but don't get oh, geez, he has a knife behind him. Yeah,
to cut off the back. It's one of those kind of. It's one of funny that it's a thief, but a helpful, not a malicious.
Well, because it leaves them open. Oh, but then look at all this. And there's Gyro. Oh no, not Gyro. That's his ancestor, Ratchet.
By the way, that's a funny thing. By the way, the TV tropes. I don't know if you have noticed that, but there's something about the naming translation. Because
what?
Instead of gear loose, it translates to peloton, which
meaning
is fearless. Yeah, so pretty much in the Finnish version it's Petteri Peloton, or which would be Peter Fearless.
Yep. But I love it.
With Ratchet right now. Gyro is Pelle Peloton, which would be Clown Fearless.
Right, but that of course beats up like, tell us again, Potty, how muddy is Mississippi water? Darling, I wouldn't have tried drinking any less than I rinsed it first with some other water. Then I'd still need to drink it with a fork. Shut up and play poker. I want to end this game. After only 2 days? So what's your bet on Hog? The title to one of my steamboats, the Dilly Dollar. Match that or fall. Smart, ain't ya? And you know, my only boat was sunk in our dag-blasted race 10 years ago. Standing on the table is disallowed, even for runs, Doc. Okay, then I'll bet salvage rights up to a certain riverboat and the location of where it sank. Wait, what? And what? Yours? Bah, no bet. I'm talking about the Drina White. Patty, you know the location. You know the location of the Drina White. Excuse me, what's the Drina White? It's a legendary riverboat that sank 30 years ago while carrying $100,000 in government gold. I was the cabin boy and sole survivor. I'll accept that as your bet, McDuck. I have a full house and 3 aces, and 3 aces and 2 kings. Read 'em and weep. Not so fast, Hog. I have a full house, 2, 3 aces and 2 aces. And burp, my ace and checker. I must have stuck out. Ha!
Yeah, cheater versus cheater, and the cheater who won.
You won the river, and you still won the riverboat? That game was dishonest. Not at all, laddie. We were blamed by riverboat captain rules. If you don't try to cheat the other player, you hurt their feelings. Let's talk about... Like, I'm your nephew, Scrooge McDuck, Uncle Pothole. Flip my Tesket desk, my brother Fergus boy. I've come to America to seek me fortune. And this is the land to find out, lad. 5 minutes ago, I was broke, and now I own this, the Dilly Dollar. Come aboard. So, yeah. How come you never salvaged the gold from the Drina White, Uncle Pothole? 30 years. I wish I could do just that. But the Mississippi's too muddy for hunting sunken treasure. Why, it's so dirty, I've seen dust blow off the surface and catfish come up to sneeze. Oh boy, but of course, the poker hog. Just packing my belongings. I can't leave behind my collection of loaded dice. I'll load your dice with buckshots if you don't get off my boat. Oh dear. And the Beagle Boys.
Yeah.
This is where we get introduced to the Beagle Boys.
Yeah.
And Pappy.
Actually,
or Blackheart. Blackheart, I believe.
Blackheart Beagle, or
yep.
Kivisyömi Karhula, as he's called in the Finnish translation. Which, by the way, funny thing, in the Beagle Boys, they're called Karhukopla in Finnish, which would be like Bear Team or Bear League or Bear Gang, which is actually also the name of the Finnish SWAT team.
Right. Uh-oh. That shouldn't have worked.
No. Cartoon logic.
Yep. But yep, heading their way out there and everything. And oh, they hid themselves. Again, this is an interesting. This fits with some of the stuff that Carl had done. But of course, yep, they totally betray him. Obviously,
yeah, since he no longer has any leverage to keep them in his employment, they kind of easily they do a coup.
Yep, and ooh, look at this, a creepy underwater town.
Ooh.
If this is where the town used to be, where's the middle of the river? The river, a half mile to the west, about where old man Eckerson's farm is nowadays. I love that.
Yeah, this is kind of
that is an interesting swap.
Yeah, not to mention this is a balanced humor that actually carries the story forward.
Exactly, because one, the guy drops him down there and then just storms off, not realize he just showed him where to go. And then they found it, but what they thought is where it was at, like, nope, you're off. And they find it, but then, uh-oh. But, yep, leading to, oh, they got the gold. I dreamed of getting the gold for 30 years, and it was mine for only 5 minutes. Don't worry, Uncle Pato. We can still find that other sunken treasure you told me about. Another treasure? What other treasure? I don't know what the boy's talking about. No, we'll see about that. Grab that fuzzy cheek squirt. Put him down, you big galoot. How about a little exercise till your sweet uncle decides to talk? I try to say there isn't another treasure. Please forgive me, Uncle Pato. I couldn't take it anymore. I never knew there was insanity in my family. But yeah, he's lying to them.
Yeah, it's kind of
why? He takes them to where that tree branch was.
Yeah, and
yep, they're the Beagle Boys.
Yeah.
It's Blackheart Beagle and his boys.
Yeah, and they take the name there. It's kind of funny. They'll be right being arrested. It's like simple and city.
Yep, and of course he gives them some of course the government took it. It were nice to get a good reward out of it still, and thus he gets a share.
Oh.
But stay in my apprentice and I'll sell you the $1 cheap when I retire in a few years. It's a deal. Yep, of course, but don't be sad. Spend your money. Do you want to end up with a coal bin full of the dang stuff? Of course not. Don't be silly. Huh? A coal bin full of money? Yep. And eventually he does get it. Thanks, but are you like all McDucks, Pato was a man of his word. After tutoring Scrooge for 2 years, he sold the dilly dollar to the lad at a bargain price. Thanks, but are you sure you're a McDuck? And look, you actually didn't see a younger, slightly now older Scrooge, but he looks more like Donald.
Donald with the
puffy sides.
Yeah.
Yep. And of course, the fact that he took all the credit for what Scrooge did.
Yeah, this is a trend that continues in one of the other stories.
Mm-hmm.
Or setup.
But then we get another interesting bit with Ratchet helping out. Trying to get the gold again. Or what? Yeah. We'll make the gold they've been collecting and bringing, and transporting. But then, that's the dilly dollar, and then boom. But yeah, so a big flood, and of course they get arrested. You'll have to do more than just blow a riverboat to splinter around me to make a ghost of Scrooge McDuck. They survived.
Yeah.
He's so broke, we Beagle Boys will never have to bother robbing him again.
Yeah.
If I lost my job on the Dilly Dollar, Mr. McDuck, you, unless you want to get that matchstick business. So yep, and
strange to see that he actually managed to get them back after the thief stole his luggage.
Right.
Something happened off panel probably during those 2 years.
Yep, all the square eggs.
Yeah, that's another story that Marx did.
Yep. But again, just look at all this. Just how all the stuff Scrooge has gone through.
Yes, all of this is like a prime real estate that Disney could have capitalized by adapting it.
Which I do feel that the reboot of Ducktales did take a lot of, at least, it's clearly part of his backstory. They never emphasized it, but with both cartoons, I always felt that was still his backstory.
Yeah, it more or less it did, but it kind of fine-tuned it and filed the rougher edges off.
Yep. Yep. And he also, he names it after his horse, Hortense, because they both have bad tempers.
Yeah, it's funny because it's true.
It is true. Oh, whoa! Again, the artwork is so good and detailed.
Yeah.
And yet still simplistic. But who is this fellow that Scrooge has found?
Well,
a certain Teddy.
Yeah, he's not named in the. They don't actually exchange. Do they exchange names anywhere in this?
I believe they do, and yes, it's Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah, but it's something that say at the end of this
yeah,
story.
But it's a funny thing because people have to realize. And remember, we went over this when we went over that Batman Detective 27. Yeah. Teddy was actually one of the most badass presidents. Like he was badass before he was president and everything.
Yeah, something that I remember in one of those documents that were in the DVD of Batman Begins said that Christopher Nolan took some inspiration to how to do Batman's backstory from Teddy Roosevelt.
I can believe that. But they call him TR. That's the most we get, and it says we should go back into politics.
Yeah.
So that's the most we get is TR, but it's so obvious.
Yeah.
Yep, as more time has passed, we eventually see again, he's getting a bit older, but still looking even more like Donald here.
Yeah, this one panel actually looks like it's very emulative of Karl Barks' art.
Oh, and I think that's intentional.
Yeah. Yep. Maybe a redraw of the originals.
Yep, by a copper heart, like you have a mind full of little baby pennies. Like you had a trace. Yeah, I'll have a mind full of unborn gold pieces or infant silver dollars. Nope, just penny and just copper. So it was a copper mine he ended up finding. Oh boy, look at that with the light bulb.
Yeah. First encounter with electricity.
Whoa! Hey, who opened the door and let in a cattle stampede? And what did you put in this man's sarsaparilla?
No.
Copper, they need so much, the price is skyrocketing.
Yeah.
So yeah, somebody stole
And-
copper.
Yeah.
So he's gonna go claim it.
Yeah. And the prospectors
Offer for 100. 100.
Yeah.
You crook, you scoundrel. I haven't got 100. Then oh,
Yeah, and a loan shark.
and a loan shark. Yep, and Howard Rocker Duck.
Yeah. Whom was
Who that was his first rival before Glomgold.
yeah. Whom and the one that the Italians used more than
Then Glomgold. Yeah. But I like how the two used to be kind of friends, kind of not.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
I kind of like that. They go back and forth with that. Your sample test at 50% copper, same as the anaconda. On that and a nickel will get me a cup of, hey, where are we going? Hush up and come. Up. And he's like, so he's saying Scrooge owns the Anaconda copper mine.
Yeah, because the main of the copper is on the area on the one plot of land that he just got rights to mine at.
Exactly. But yeah, and exactly. So he basically he owns that mine, and so in a way he's helping him, but then it's like it's gonna bite him in the ass.
Yeah, because everyone else thinks that if they can take it over, then they can be until it's notarized.
I'm also talking about how it is going to bite Rocker Duck in the butt.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he doesn't realize Scrooge is. Well, look at how many he's beat. Wait, how did that dust get? Oh wait, he brought him there.
Yeah, horse carriage.
Right. And the law of Apex, I rule that he is the rightful owner of the Anaconda. What about me? I'm awake too. Bonk. But like I said, the fact that, of course, no one likes him anymore.
Yeah.
You got rich, son. Best get used to it. Like I did. But again, the fact that it eventually goes from terrible crisis for the Clan McDuck. Stop. Need cash. Stop. Come home at once. Stop. Don't stop. Stop.
All the money he got from the line, he can't even cash with it because.
Oh, wait a minute. Rocker Duck is his son. Isn't it his son that becomes the rival?
Yeah, it's his son.
That's right.
The one who is clearly spoiled and just inherited.
Showing what a good man. They're showing what a good man Rocker Duck was.
Yeah, and what kind of legacy he spawned with this spoiled kid.
5 years, and he's gotten $10,000. That's just so much.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot back in these days. With inflation, it's not exactly as much anymore.
But still, back in those days, that is still he's not the richest, but he's well off.
Yeah, especially considering how much cheaper most things were back then.
Yep, Hortense. From whose side of the clan does Hortense get her temper? I don't know, but I hope she doesn't pass it to her brand. We know she will. But yep, and they meet up with it shows like we have till tomorrow to pay the taxes. My son Scroogey has come home with the money. Read a bit, weep. That's the real goods. Whoever heard of a McDuck with money? Oh boy.
And then he tells them that remember the ghost.
Yep, that's why that was you. Why I oughta.
Yeah, challenge to a duel.
Challenge to a duel. And the magic sword.
Yeah, or not exactly magic.
Yep. But then a brief moment where he possibly died.
It's a near-death experience. Let's go with that.
Yep. But But again, now this is still at a point where Scrooge is still a good man. He has not let greed get to him at all.
Yeah. And
Oh yeah,
all the
look,
ancestors are...
he's gone the world's greatest adventurer. So basically, it's a near death where it's told that he is meant for great things.
Yeah, but eventually he's gonna probably be like the other ancestors.
Yep. Now, technically, he should be dead.
Yeah.
But look, he uses the dime that he still carries on him to undo the screws.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of if we go by the logic that underwater, all that happened in a matter of seconds.
Right.
Or a second, he should probably barely have enough oxygen to, you know.
Look, he's the last of a long line, and we're proud of him.
Yeah.
Again, I just love this stuff. Now Scrooge is starting to more and more switch from being like Donald to being himself. Would you agree? Like by this point, he is becoming more like what we would know him to be.
Yes. Here he is actually getting the direction to go in life. He still kind of looks, minus the software cheek beard buffs.
Yeah, exactly. But here, like earlier, it was slight, but now it's getting closer.
Yeah. Well, he's still young. He has it.
Yep.
His father looks like what he will look like eventually.
Yep. Oh boy, dealing with all these animals but he was betrayed.
Yeah,
They left him behind.
No, this one guy left him behind. This one nameless. What did he call himself? He's Boori in the.
Yeah.
Boar.
Yeah, I'm a boar. But yeah, left him behind, and now if someone managed to live through this, I'll teach him one in return. Nobody double crosses Scrooge McDuck. That is one of my favorite images right there. That is, and again, it makes it clear, this is where we finally realize he has the temper.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Something that he uses that he actually where it comes up when it's necessary to be used.
Whereas
he knows how to harness it.
Yeah,
he has how to harness it. But with Hortense and in Donald's case, it's basically like a raw power that they have.
But it's like I would say it's like a wild, I would compare this. The temper is a wild fire hose. Whereas Scrooge is like a firefighter that holds it. Yeah. Hortense and Don are the ones that just let it spray all over.
Yeah.
Would you say that's a good way of looking at it?
Let's go with that.
Yeah. But yeah, look, he takes down all those all the animals and brings them in.
Yeah, no, so mostly the lion.
Yep. No, it's your worst nightmare. You no good, low down, backstabbing and dealing so and so. Fill your hand.
This is one of those that I wish that they actually had adapted, because hearing this like from, well, I don't know about Alan Young or David Tennant, but Pekka Autiovuori especially reading this.
Yeah.
Would have been great.
Again, this is where the moment after being betrayed in such a manner that Scrooge has truly turned around. We started seeing it a bit beforehand. I feel like that near-death experience really switched something in him, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
Like beforehand, he has been quick thinking. This is the moment when he's become the Popeye almost.
Yeah, when a man comes around. It really is.
Yep. And Scrooge, I've never whacked a bush in my life. I swear it. I'll get you. Adios, Mr. Whatever your name is.
Yeah, and the narration really well lists out all the enemies he has made so far, and just as it ends,
it's Flintheart.
Yeah,
I like that this was Flintheart's origin.
Yeah,
and people gotta remember he's an Afrikaner. He was never Scottish, which I like that the reboot actually played up that he fakes it.
Yes. That is one of the.
Yep. And I just love it that, Fergus is proud of him.
Oh.
but he never really makes it that clear to him that often.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is also around the point when, as Scrooge is becoming more of a badass, it's when his pride and ego starts to build up. I think that was the other downside of that thing. He now has visions of grandeur in his head.
Yeah, visions, but actually it's their visions and not delusions.
Right, exactly.
Most characters have their downfall with not having the difference with is it visions or delusions.
Yep. And I'd say Don Rosa, he does respect a lot of other type of traditions and everything. I mean, look at all this. Yep. Uh-oh.
He and his wife do hike here and there. Maybe they have done some walkabouts in Australia to figure out this.
Yep. Oh, look, kangaroos. Yep. Uh-oh. Again, showing that Scrooge is, again, like he keeps saying before, he's smarter than the smarties and tougher than the toughies.
Yeah, and this would have been
sharper than the sharpies.
Yeah, and that would have been an easy victory for him if he had just taken the opal. But
right. And also, I love it that he's destined never to be parted from the dime for long.
Yeah, it keeps coming back.
Yep. Again, it's not a lucky dime, but still, it does have some type of special representation for him.
Yeah. And
like
that gives him the idea.
Yep.
That gives him the idea to go to Yukon and
but then he starts to realize, there's other things. Oh, I love it. Who are these other figures? Donald and the nephews. Yep. So this is then him making his way up, the King of the Klondike, which again works around one of the best Carl Bark stories.
Yes. It's one
of
the
him in the Yukon.
Early great ones.
Yep.
And Wyatt Earp.
Yep, Wyatt Earp and all that, which I love that. And we also get another lone shark.
Yeah,
he's obviously a pig.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's the English name is
I forget.
Here is the Petkun Perä.
I'm positive he's meant Pete.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be loosely based on Pete, I bet.
Probably because they had to be an original creation because going by if we go by the timelines of the Ducks universe or the Disney universe where Donald and Mickey's characters coexist, Pete would not have been born yet.
Right, exactly. We go by that, Pete would not be born yet. But he is clearly fitting in that role still.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's making and then we get Goldie. They think that that's not Gold. Yeah, it is. Goldie O'Gilt.
Yeah. Kuultu kimallus.
Yep. And I gotta say, I love the stuff with Goldie here. That was one I did not care for in the reboot.
Yeah, that was kind of one I didn't like it because also
making her more villainous.
Yeah, or not actually even the same character. What's that? Just so an Catwoman XP more
so. I mean, it kind of fits with her characterization to a point, but not,
No, it was basically like that. So people have different strengths. This is one of those to say that Scrooge was good at this thing. Goldie was good at another thing. She eventually found the this small establishment became the bigger thing. But eventually,
right.
Yeah.
But geez, that woolly mammoth there. Just look at this is where Rosa's getting more detailed.
Yeah, all of this.
Yeah, just look at all this details. Yep. And meets up with it's Blackjack and the Blackjack. It's what they're calling the place now.
Yeah.
Yep. The grand opening of the new Blackjack Ballroom. Not likely.
Yeah, it's kind of saving
saves
everything.
Slick.
Yeah, Soapy Slick.
Yep, yeah, Slick is his name. Soapy Slick, yeah. But yeah, of course, like, again, this is where we're seeing him build his cabin and everything. He's ready for his claim.
Yeah.
Reaches Dawson, but it's a new Dawson, unlike any town the Western Hemisphere has known. He's about to enter in the widest, most lawless, and just plain custodious settlement in North America. He's about to enter into legend. Burp! And he finally gets the proper legal papers and everything.
Yeah, it was like it was a random place he decided to set up shop, and now it's legally his.
Mm-hmm. Oh, but then we get this big moment. Soapy is knocks him out, and then he's starting to go through his mails, everything about his. And then, dear Scroogey, it's been so long since you've written. You know, we know you must be very busy, so don't worry. Yeah, mama's boy. Papa and your sister have been trying to find work to pay the taxes on the castle, but we've fallen behind. I wish I could help, but I've felt so tired lately. But we know you'll find the pot of gold you seek, and all of our trouble will be over. Love, mother. So play some sad music, Joe. And beat another. The other letter is more recent. It's from Daddy. Uh-oh. Bad news. Tisk. You boys really shouldn't be so mean to a poor little motherless lad. Like, well, I know Scrooge would rather be hard at work than hanging around this den of iniquity. So get an anchor, boy. Scroogey wants to search the river bottom for pay dirt. What is it? What? Oh!
I wonder, with this revelation that his mother was dead, would Disney have been okay with if they actually got to adapt it?
I think they would, especially the way it's phrased. You know, it's not emphasized much. Besides, how many people how many did he care to have lost their parents?
Yes, okay, that makes more sense. But still, it's
look at this! And this was one of the big things I always remember that came up during the death battle with Shovel Knight, was this moment.
Oh.
Again, he harnesses...
Yeah.
It's kind of funny how anger and all that.
Yeah. It's kind of funny how it's framed so that it could have been like this or it could have been like that, but most people remember this was the end result.
Exactly. Who cares?
Saying that the Scrooge did it is on himself.
Uh-huh. And his big gold goose egg. And this is when Scrooge switched.
Yeah.
I also love it. He has this moment.
That he could have just let it go.
Do I want to be rich? Yes. And that's the moment. It says the beginning. This is the moment when it switched for Scrooge wanting to help his family to now, I think, because knowing that his mother died took a lot out of him.
Yeah, his father and sisters are still there, but
his mother's the one who encouraged him more.
It's kind of the wording that his mother
out.
Calling him. Yeah.
I saw the
that
first...
This is Bark's art redrawn.
Yep. Up at a course. Gets his stuff back. And yeah, he's starting to make his own money and everything. And then he finally sends stuff over at bless you, sir. That's the kind of guy I am. So he hasn't become a bad boss yet. Look. Like he's actually bringing money. He even bought a stove for the office and brings firewood in himself.
Yeah. Lead by example, something like that.
Yep. And look, the richest duck in the Highlands. Greetings, one and all. I return to you in triumph. Who wants you Albany robber baron? You stock up mugwimp seeking to come back from trapping in the world? What? I'll buy this whole town and throw you on your collective ears. Gracious, he used to be such a nice lad, such a tantrum. It's like, what?
So, let's go with the what was that Gene Wilder said in Blazing Saddles? These are the people of the land, not simple people. Morons.
Yep. It's been 22 years since he was last back at home.
So he would be, he left at 30 in 35.
Yeah, he'd be around 35. But yeah, he's really stuck at rich.
Oh.
And this is where we start to get more and more of the time skips.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you do have people here asking for handouts and all that. But yeah, I love it. I get that everywhere I go. People are jealous for my success. I'm just gonna read straight. I'm not gonna do the voice.
Yeah.
They all want a free ride.
Yeah.
See, this is when Scrooge changed. Oh, and we get the red suit.
Or blue, depending on which. Sometimes it's red, sometimes it's blue.
The red,
but most of the time it's red.
Right, but of course he goes to visit his mom, and look at that.
Yes.
Oh, and the barrels of his money.
Yeah.
Like, what the? All in cash? Whatever for? Why to play in it, of course, to swim in it.
Yeah, not to mention, there's no digital currency yet. So, of course, he has to carry it somewhere.
Yep. But of course, like peasants. Oh, what a giveaway. Did you hear him repressive? You heard it, didn't you? It's like, okay, Scrooge is being an ass, but they're not being any better.
Treat others as you wish to be treated yourself. And they are pretty much treating him the way how...
I mean, especially this moment here. They insult him, he throws it back, and then everyone, even his paw, feels like, what the heck, son? It's like, what, you're not going to stand up for him? But probably because his paw sees where he's heading.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yes. Well, kind of.
Oh. Also showing all the skills he's learned.
Yeah. It's basically this whole moment is to showcase that it's a point of he can't come he has been all around the world so much that his home is unrecognizable now, and it doesn't feel like home anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, it's where he started out, but it's time for him to create his own home somewhere else.
Yep. Oh, and his sisters are teasing him. He keeps slipping up, and Duckburg has now been settled.
Yeah, at least that's the fort.
Yep. Even guys they call it Goldie Bird because his sisters are teasing him.
That's actually fucking looking at it. The hair is set up now, but the story where it's actually from that's something that I think that was the last story that Rosa did.
Yeah, but he did it all over the place. And he's offering him to come with him here, but like, Scrooge, take your sister to a new life in America. You're right. You've outgrown the life I've known. So yeah, they all go with him.
Yeah.
To see Duckburg.
Yeah, and it's actually the whole time. Now, the art also shows here that the last meeting Scrooge has with his father, you can see that he's an old man compared to him there. But
yeah,
the ones that we see on his final page, clearly younger. His mother is suddenly there. Lord,
he realized he had passed away already.
Oh, it's not exactly an on panel or an off panel. It's basically both.
Yep. Up, and then here's where we get Donald's dad.
Oh.
I gotta wring somebody's neck. Who cares about your stupid corn cob? They fall in love. I love that.
No, that's
true love. That is true love.
Yeah.
They are so identical.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, and the early, if I remember right, the early junior woodchucks.
Yeah, sulenpennut.
Yep, up, and
weird.
There's Teddy.
Translation difference, now to think about it.
Yep, there's Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Oh, and the Beagle Boys.
Yeah, it's been 22 years, yeah, they said.
And yeah, he's a billionaire. And again, by this point, that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, and the Navy and the Marines with the president.
kind of an overreaction based on a miscommunication.
Yep. And why, you're Buck McDuck from Montana, and you're the rancher I met years ago in the Dakota and Badlands. I thought you were some Carly interloper.
It's kind of weird looking at how they actually have the president leading the charge against.
But that's something I think Teddy would have done.
Yeah.
6 months later, he's starting his gold mine.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. What kind of stupid name for a kid is Donald? No son of mine will ever be blah, 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 blah. But yep, and hands off, this means you.
Empire. Oh, the trade has the entire family tree in this part.
Yep. Well, we'll get to that eventually. But look, and people gotta remember, this is all the money he has gathered up just physically.
And most of it actually is just his own cash funds.
Now, I will say this. Scrooge becoming more like this as he becomes richer, it's that double-edged sort of being rich. Because a lot of his things being upset, he has a right to be upset about, but then he goes overboard with it. Like assuming everyone is the same. Yeah. Oh dear.
And this is
why the car barks. And this is the case where I do love this. How Don Rosa took a controversial story and decided to actually make it be that was his turning point.
Yeah, hold on. What is something that he said in the
I know there's one for and this is where we're going to be getting a lot more
this is that one point where he actually you actually see that as a low point, and maybe the I don't know actually what was the proper phrase to actually describe that. It's the low point where he actually falls into doing something, and then immediately
he breaks all of his rules, all of his traditions. And look at his face and everything. But yeah, he sends off his sisters. They destroy the place, send off the natives, burn it down, and then he puts up a fake act to get his stuff, to get the place.
Oh,
the deed. But unfortunately, with the voodoo, he doesn't realize he programmed it to go for his disguised look.
Yeah. And the page before that, when he has the realization of what he's done.
What have I done? But unfortunately,
not to mention the way how his younger selves are at first.
He once had honesty
back against him, and then his father is talking back to him. This is unfortunately because of the implications and racial stereotypes that there are. This cannot.
Even though it's the most important story.
Yeah. I think they already a few years ago they made some statements that they won't be reprinted mostly because of this.
Yep. Bumby on the Titanic.
Yeah. Something I actually say about Bombi, the reason why it's behind Scrooge is better for something he actually did instead of for something he is like in the new Ducktales cartoon.
Right. But of course they have to then use but yeah, this is where we get the biggest time skip as Scrooge is more and more becoming like himself. Like the crotchety old man.
Yeah.
And then finally utilizes another voodoo guy to help him out.
Yeah. But it only buys him 30 years.
Yep. And then he gets back. We don't have a beat. They're all happy to see him. And look, there's Donald and Della. But just who do you think you are, Scroogey? How dare you treat us like this after we haven't seen or heard from you in 23 years? This is where he's now become the miser. And I love this with Donald. Still here, Squirt? I'm glad that somebody in the family has some sense. Go get me that audit. I might forget what just happened. Wah! And yep, he's fine. And for a moment, he's ready to go suck sense, but then he's become the richest duck in the world, and that's what they all want to celebrate.
Yeah.
And then this is what I went over when I over the holidays.
Yeah. That's the yeah.
Which it kind of look, Will Eisner.
Yeah.
The Will Eisner Award.
Yeah.
Black Heart and Black Heart.
Yeah.
Yep. And I love this how thanks to them he finally feels the need, the energy again.
Yeah.
He feels like doing it again.
Mm.
But I also love how, of course, Donald is never going to make him forget. He's never gonna he doesn't believe he went and did all this stuff.
No.
But that's just the first half. And that was the main one. Going forward now, we're gonna have all of the fill-ins.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to find that other book at some point. Maybe the academic bookstore still has those.
Yep, like we get a little bit more here of his time in the Yukon, stuff with him and Goldie, which will lead to one of the a well-memed moment.
Yeah.
Yep, where he's in there, dreams of Goldie and everything,
and it's
meets Santa basically. Yeah.
Oh, and food.
Yeah, food and all that.
Yeah.
But I'm on my way to the blackjack, and I can't take time to trash you. Sorry, but burning the place down. Yep.
And this is when
they Scrooge, you big dope. Do something, Scrooge, you big dope. Oh.
At least this moment got revisited in the Dream of a Lifetime.
Yep. Like, of course.
Yeah.
Innocent woman in Dawson. I love that. But Goldie decides to head on. Eventually, we'll go after him. Wild and Buffalo Bills Wild West show. And we see Pothole.
Yeah, this is the what was set up with him taking the glory.
Yep. And we have Blackheart there still with the Beagles. I borrowed most of that money using my family ownership of Castle McDuck as collateral. What? I love how Pothole gets puts through some indignation.
Yeah.
He deserves it.
Yeah, taking everything.
And the fact is, he believes his own hype. That's the problem. He believes his own
while Scrooge and he who yawns doesn't.
Yep. But again, just look at all. But yeah, with Buffalo Bill and everything. Again, they're believing it all, but it's like he's full of it.
Yeah.
It's Scrooge
that
who's saving
joke there, by the way, was something that that Rosa and Reed rule, because this was
P.T. Barnum and Annie Oakley.
Yeah. Was it the other way around?
Yep. Uh-oh.
Don't show what he's doing, and maybe just show the reactions, because too graphic for the age bracket that it is aimed.
Yep, obviously.
And Hugh Jones is Geronimo.
Yeah, Geronimo! Of course. Nephew Scrooge. I could have made you a star. Oh, brother, Pothole. Yep, told about all, it says in our guidebook that the old prospector people called the Dutchman was actually a German named Jacob Waltz. Drat that sister of mine! I always told her not to buy the expensive glue. Yeah,
this story continues in the what was the story? The Dutchman's Gold or something.
Yep.
Yeah, it was one of the present day stories.
Yep. Then we get cowboy on the cowboy captain. Again, I just like how again most of these are just meant to fill in, some gaps or just put in some other fun adventures.
I actually remember having this story in those comic book issues of that came in weekly back when I was in the elementary
and it's Ratchet.
School, I think.
This is the grandfather of Gyro, by the way.
Yeah.
Again, just a nice adventure and everything here.
And the first time he got the top hat.
Yep.
And this was done as
Krakatoa!
Yeah.
Which has been explosive was compared to a nuke.
Yeah.
Now, if I remember, this is where he got his hat. That's what they're supposed to be telling us.
Yeah. Or actually, he just wore one of those hats for the first time. I think.
That's what I meant. Yeah, he wore it for the first time. And as he gained a liking for it.
And no pictures because the camera got broken. Except for that one time.
You treated this old salt to the grandest voyage of his long career on the seven seas. And he got all those diamonds.
Yeah, but he was only rich for about a minute before they invented speeding tickets.
Yep. Yep, I know. And also, must have repaired it. Yeah. That's our Uncle Scrooge. The world's first. The world invented just for him. Yep, and then you have more time with him and the sisters as they're at the Panama Canal.
Yeah, this should be in the middle of
early 1900s.
Yeah, when the guys and before they went to Africa.
Exactly. Oh, of course. They're hiding all that, and I love it. Like she had a sister who was a holy terror, nastiest little hellion I've ever knew. Ordinary than an ugly badger. You're no prize yourself, you polecat! Like, it's a foreign spy! I've been infiltrated by enemy agents! I'll run for help! Dirty, no good, mangy burp! I said I'll run for help! Pay attention, legs! All right, sorry!
Yeah. And Secret Service.
Which were created with Teddy. Teddy was the first to give us the Secret Service.
Yeah, in that sense, it's kind of funny that they are utilized for these kind of purposes. And then there's the whole...
I would say, I also like it that they make it clear, because we know Scrooge is not supposed to become, like at least with that earlier story, we knew Scrooge wouldn't get his first million until that the gold. So that's why I liked how that's why they did the ticket and everything, so he could gain something only to lose it. No need to bother your pretty little head. Oh, look at that. All this gold. Surely you don't intend to keep this all to yourself. It's national treasure. And, fight like a man. Uh-oh.
Yeah, and there's that one joke. I don't know if it's translated even, but
where?
Learned something from the standing bull. Never heard of him. They started calling him the sitting bull.
Sitting bull, yep. I never heard of him. They started calling him Sitting Bull after our last match. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, and he realizes all of this will now be a mess between North and South America. So they have to come up with a way of, I believe, how to deal with it all.
Yeah, and because of that, what whiskey was it? Indian.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, I agree to whatever price.
Yeah, and they choose for him the...
But unfortunately, he passes out, he says, you must do this. And so he gets he gets the first teddy bear. And I love this. Uncle Scrooge, don't you get it? This is the first, the original, the #1 teddy bear of all time. And what does he do? He refused offer of $10 million for world's most valuable toy and heated international bidding. as one of my sharpest deals. Nephew says, burp, burp, and you may quote me. I love how to sit to the right.
It's like looking at how.
But I love it also. Donald's also, and that's what my mom picked. That's the deal she made.
Yeah,
I love it.
I was actually thinking about it, but the Teddy has.
I love it. I've always wanted to see you kicked off your own hideouts, and here my own ma did it before I was born. What a gal!
Yeah.
I bet you even Hortense would it be much like Scrooge, like burp. Oh, this is where we could.
Here's
yep.
I think this is the last story that Rosa drew.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember, but the first time it was in the weekly comic when it was published in Finland.
Yep. This is where we finally see just how much of a relationship they had. And it also shows that up until this point, she had been, she was, let's be honest, spoiled. Tough, but spoiled. Yeah, this is where then she decided to show, I can do what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
But then that leads to, them arguing.
And there's a Wyatt Earp, Backlash, and Judge, what was it?
Judge, I forget. But
they introduced him.
Big fight. Oh. Yep. Wanted on the back. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Yeah.
Yep. Those two backwood guys we hired to bring us were Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. I may hang myself. The Wild Bunch.
Oh.
Yep. The Goose Egg Nugget, the Deed. I can't lose them now. Saves them and everything. But this is where the two faults are too. Again, if they're anything like Hortense and Donald's dad,
Yeah. It's one of those trains that stood in the station at the same time, but then eventually left it the other direction.
But I love it how she loved the kiss too.
Yeah.
But she can't do it, so here comes that moment. Dink, dink. Oh my gosh, he's killed her. No, she's killed him. They killed each other. Hurry. Court's in session. Halt, or the preside. Like he knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Court finds you two stupid youngsters a round of drinks apiece when we get back to Dawson. Now get. But I love how you know what happened.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Yeah, it's something that it doesn't need to be said.
But it's so obvious.
Yeah, if you try to actually cut it out or cover or censor it anyway, you obviously point out to what actually happened. So it's kind of funny to just frame it so that you don't need to say. But you...
Yep. The last fled to Dawson. I believe this was to be his last time when he left. Yep. Again, just look at this. Now, this is one of his. This is more of an earlier one.
Yeah, based on the art, it's a little simple and.
And this is one of the stories where they go back there.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
Glittering Goldie.
Taliaferro also did a version of this story because it's about the sled that was stuck in the glacier.
Yep.
Yeah, all Taliaferro did the same story, but with different circumstances.
And look, Soapy.
Yeah.
He's still around and all that. Oh, and showing that, these two never got together and they probably wouldn't. Not at their ages, anyway.
No.
Oh. Yeah, this is one of the bigger stories because this was more of a, follow-up to old events. We would get a couple of these by now.
Yeah.
It's a box of chocolates from the White Horse General Store, and it was addressed to him. I'll be darned. That's why Uncle Scrooge was making a last trip to Dawson. He was bringing Miss Goldie a box of chocolates. They're still good. Makes you wonder what might have happened if he hadn't lost his sled. Boys, even if your uncle hadn't become rich, he still would have been a great man. But he did pretty well under the circumstances. Still, he was just as rich when he first came to the Klondike. Any man is rich if he enjoys his work. And any man is a success when he has such loyal friends and relatives as you. Aww. Of ducks and dimes. This is where we get the whole retconning. And of course, Rosa wouldn't say, no, he did not. And Magica is not the one who first gave him the dime. It's more the case of she's the one who tried to change it and put it back on track.
Hey.
Yeah, she steals the dime and thinks, I've got it. I could do it, but soon realizes it's without all of the stuff with Scrooge. Everything, all the energy built up into it, it's worthless.
Yeah. It's the whole. There's the other story where they also realize that when all of them teamed up, Magica, Beagle Boys, and Flintheart Glomgold, they teamed up to steal everything, and then she was told that okay, you stole all the money from him. What's that coin worth now?
Yep, but yeah, this is when she realizes that. Oh, and I love it. Also reveals, my time's almost up. I'll be able to see the ditch digger pay Scrooge, and then I'll be gone. And then I'll be gone. Wonder what the dope's waiting for. Say, look at that. Peachy's having a sale, and me with exactly 2 shillings in my name. I'll pay Scrooge later. Good thing I traded off that American coin.
Yeah, he would have paid in actual money.
Well, no. He said Peachy wouldn't take that, so he probably would have done it anyway.
Yeah.
But then that's when she realized this. I've intercepted Scrooge's first dime before he got it. It's only its power if Scrooge has handled it all of his life. That means if this dime will ever be of any use to me, if Scrooge is to ever get it, I'll have to be the one who gives it to him. And I love it. I just wish I could thank the person who's responsible for getting me this one particular coin. You're pooping welcome. The dream of a lifetime. This is because they realized there were so many contradictions. He decided to go, was doing it as an in canon. He decided that would be, nope, let's go with this as a dream instead so we can include other stuff.
Yeah, basically Inception, I said it.
Yeah, which I like.
Yeah, funny thing is about those things that when Donald asks for different weapons, and they need to make Scrooge think about the weapons, they get everything else. I remember laughing myself silly as a younger self when go back a few pages.
I love it how Bono's really like, oh brother,
go back a few pages. This where he is asking for guns or weapons. He gets don't make me use
boom.
Or no more steps or I'll do a drum solo. I remember laughing myself silly as a young child when I read this the first time.
One more step and I'll play a drum solo.
Yeah.
But again, great fun story.
Yeah, and
egg muffin. One side doesn't realize that's his mother. All right, what is McDuck? Ma! I look at the painting.
Yeah.
I
could think this is a dream, and those are really just NPCs without sentience, but still.
Yep. Up and Goldie.
And this time the dream he doesn't get more.
That's the king of the Klondike. This is where Donald finally respects Scrooge.
Yeah, he saw these things that actually happened.
Because why else would he be dreaming it? I love that he finally has learned to appreciate him.
Yeah, looking at how that panel is drawn there, it shows the sincerity.
Yeah, it shows the sincerity and everything. Oh, and this is where we get the last one chronologically. And this is also where they meet up with Matilda.
Yeah. I remember Rosa.
They never say what happened to Hortense. They never really say it. But
He said supposedly he wanted to use Hortense in the story too, but the editors told him not to.
It's like you were allowed to use them up to the point where Donald was a kid. Beyond that, no. Just like with Della. Which is one thing I will always say. Della is now no longer off limits thanks to the reboot. And all because they hadn't compromised by giving her the robotic leg. You know that was the compromise, right?
Yeah.
With the robotic leg? Yep. I bet you finally come to the treasury of the Knights Templar. That's just what Papa didn't want.
There was a what down here?
Yeah. Like you stunned him with those words, Aunt Matilda. He's lucky I didn't stun him with a brick. But yep, we find out that the father kept trying to find it but couldn't. But yeah, he's able to eventually figure things out.
Yeah, and there's the whole thing that don't need to tell where he fell because it's obviously a medieval toilet.
Yep. Booby trap, right? Fiendish. Yep, sir. Swamp Hole McDuck. But I love all this. Again, just so much of it all. And but I love also how the sister is like trying, bumbling around, but realizes just that her brother isn't wasn't always the monster. She never forget, obviously.
Yeah. And
yeah. But I love how this is the point where they finally are able to come to grips with everything.
Yeah.
Yes, they find it.
And Donald destroys the Holy Grail and the golden gun.
Yep. You're not keeping it all. I can't. Dang it. It would put me in too high a tax bracket. A moment ago, I thought I saw a glimmer of the old Scrooge. Scrooge I knew as a child.
When he jumped over it, when he was willing to take a bullet for her.
Exactly. And then, yep, and I just love that. Of course, she boots him. And yeah, calls him out on everything. That was a Scrooge Mama and Papa were proud of. But yeah, I love this too. You had your chance to call us back, but you were too wrapped up in your greed. That wasn't the reason. Bah, then what was it? I was too ashamed. It was too long a journey. My body was tougher than my ideals. I did lose sight of my goals, but I was too stubborn to admit it. Mama and Papa are already gone. And when you left, no joy remained. I no longer even swam in my money. I had forgotten the glory of achievement, so my money was only profit to me. Until it changed. How? Why? How? Why? Him. Them. Explains it all. And yeah, he saw that. Oh, so then why does everyone still think McDuck is synonymous with greed? I let them think what they choose to think. Like my nephew, our nephew, Donald. If he knew that for me, my bin is filled with my memories rather than my money, he'd have even less respect for me than he does. That's unfair to him and to me. It deprived me of my big brother for all these years. Matilda, I'm sorry I was wrong. Forgive me. But I can't apologize to Papa. He'll never know. You're wrong. I misjudged both you and Papa. I know now why he never told you about the Templar treasure. Yep, he understood a lot of what Scrooge was doing. You know what I mean? He made his way there, but the final clue, he couldn't solve it.
Oh. But he figured out Scrooge would eventually find it and solve it.
But he didn't want to take him away. And yep, a little clear will fix it all up.
Or a lot of string.
But yeah, that was great. And look at that image.
Yes, the symbol is in the image. Or everything about this is basically...
Oh, there it is.
Oh.
The Duck family tree. Huey, Dewey, and Louie. I love it how Della's husband is never getting a full name.
Hey, it's just somebody.
Donald Gladstone.
Yeah, or it's in the funny looking at the translation differences in most likely it's Tupu, Hupu, and Lupu. Yeah, Della, and but Donald's name is probably different because Duck is an Anka, so he was in the Finnish he was renamed as Aku.
Right.
And I already told you about Hannu Hanhi because that's like Green Lantern Hannu and Hannu Hanhi.
Yeah, look, there's Seamus McDuck and all that.
Mm.
And then Bouchon Pindale, the only one that didn't continue the family.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you had Cornelius and the Kootkin and the Clan McDuck.
Yeah.
And we find out, of course, Elvira and Humperdinck, they're the ones that combined the two, and that's what led to Gladstone and Gus.
Yeah, and Feathery.
Yep. Yep. And then of course there's Daisy and her nieces.
Mm.
There's Don Rosa.
Mm.
Again, this is just so good.
Yes. And
there's a reason this is a classic.
Yeah, and to the Finnish culture, especially. Well, Don Rosa also when he did the whole quest for Kalevala. Sorry, I'm too low. But quest for Kalevala was also a big deal.
Yeah. Now, what was the issue you really wanted to give context to? There was one issue you really wanted to go over. You remember which one it was? There was something like you wanted to do a translation.
No, maybe not translate. No, that was maybe not it mostly. I just talking about we could just randomly say how characters were renamed. But basically, I already went through it with Scrooge is Scrooge Rope, Gladstone on Hannu, and so on. Those were
right.
Those kind of stuff. But seriously, to Finnish culture also, there's a reason why Donald, thanks to the stories like this, or mostly the stories that started with Karl Barks that inspired Don Rosa, and everything that has been in that weekly comic, and maybe also the Italian pocketbook stories. Those have taught many Finnish generations how to read since they started coming out. And that's pretty much these kind of stories. These were what got me into comics.
Yep, and for many, this is too. But yeah, I still gotta say that so much of this, like with Scrooge here, like what I love about the story is that we do see that Scrooge, it was a lot of things that led to him becoming this way. But it's like there is a milestone, but also just how much Rosa really connected the dots. The fact that he was able to take a royally out of character moment for Scrooge and then make it something that would actually be the turning point for him. I love that.
Yeah, also kind of shows that the consequences, that Bombi is a consequence of his actions. I can understand that the 2017 Ducktales cartoon, that it couldn't probably acknowledge this part, but it could have been better to show that the Bombi is a consequence of someone's actions and not something that just comes after you because of something that you are.
But he got lucky that Bombi was only programmed to do it based off of his disguise. He got lucky. But again, this was just so good. But also the fact that you noticed that, yeah, he did change from both his near-death experience and then when he got that first gold. That's when everything changed for him. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, those are like pretty focal points. Or would you say like not checkpoints, milestones.
Milestones, yes. But yeah, this was the one when he decided about money.
Yeah.
Do I
the
really
strongest moments where this, the part of, this, the other there's mother losing his mother,
all at once, yeah.
Not being familiar, not feeling at home anymore back home when he went back there.
Exactly. Like I said, I really just like this. Again, but I will say though, the big question of what led Scrooge to be doing what he did, with the village and all that. It's how did he get here? That's the one thing you still wonder. How did he get there? Whether his argument with his sisters putting in a bad mood or something, or was it having to deal with this type of person who was not evil, but definitely not someone who will just fall to Scrooge's stuff? Because that is a good question, though, right? Like, what made him change? That's probably the one thing we still never got a full answer to.
Yeah, like he was mostly on you could maybe see that everything he's on a business mode, that he's mentally on an autopilot, just going forward, and any road stop is just a frustration that he needs to mow out of his way.
Right. I mean, now granted, we do see him do more scamming stuff, like with this guy, 25 cents for a diamond mine.
Yeah.
Now, he was able to convince himself he was happy, I was happy. So I think you could say that's what it was. He started doing more underhanded tactics, but then it worked in one place, but then the other one would not work.
Could be like seeing that it's mentally he's like going somewhere but taking shortcuts.
And then he's convincing himself.
Ends justify the means.
And he convinces himself it's right when it's not, and then he gets humiliated.
Yeah, and instead of taking the L, he just he responds in a bad way.
And he's like, no savages are going to treat Scrooge McDuck like a fool. I think that's the other thing. His ego, his pride. But then he pulls this stunt.
Yeah, that stunt that he pulled off, and then it's kind of
like, what?
It's basically like that low point of where he needed he.
Oh, wait, I love this. Why should I be the only honest man in this cockeyed world? Even my inspiration, my first dime, came to me as a result of some bum in Glasgow cheating me with a worthless American coin.
Yeah.
I think that why can't I take shortcuts like everyone else? Because it's only through honest hard work that I earn my way in life. It's not fair. Who died left me in charge of morals? 10 centuries of McDuck. That's who. You always held your honesty. So clearly he started taking shortcuts because others would.
Yeah, that is one moment that really showcased, and even the different sounds on the voice actors. Just reading it out loud would give it more power in its portrayal.
And if you notice, look at him here, and then look at him here. Identical. See what I mean? It's identical.
That reminds me, was this I was not able to read it, but there was some Italian stories that were some semi-canon or went side by side with Rosa stories. So that Scrooge supposedly came back to Duckburg before the whole
meaning with his family.
Before his family, they were not there at the time, and he was then forced to leave. But it was also showed that he was welcomed or came across someone who basically made him leave, even fouler mood. Yeah, and not to mention there was the whole thing about, was it Flintheart or someone else had been mayor?
I don't remember.
And mayor in Duckburg, and the whole place was very much in depth, and they saw Scrooge coming back as the savior who would save them up from the depth, but Scrooge didn't know about those circumstances and just saw everyone as leeches trying to leech off from him.
Oh, geez, I love it. He showed up to Wall Street just after the great crash, and by paying only pennies on the dollar. He trusted no one, conducting all of his business using his trained cormorants as messengers, earning him the title of Birdman of Wall Street. No molting on company time. So, yeah. And now by this point, and now, of course, you do know that Scrooge, it's made clear in Rosa's eyes anyway, Scrooge only had a good couple of years after this.
Yeah, he says that maybe 20 or so.
Yep, before, and so he's over 100. But I do like that, though. It does give him a good couple of years to make up for everything.
Yeah, and eventually he managed to with Matilda at the very least. No, I'm not sure about Hortense or where everyone else are.
My guess is I wouldn't be surprised if that happened too, just off page.
Yeah, and maybe he went back. Could be that he went back to.
Look at Donald glaring at Gladstone. What you were saying?
Could be there's a whole last story. I don't know if it's last story, or
it's the last chronological.
Don Rosa also drew that one a page of Donald, Daisy, and the nephews as an older version of Scrooge's grave, and saying that the last adventure was a doozy, and then
something like that.
Yeah, could it be that it was maybe he went back to back to the old family castle and just sat maybe somewhere and passed away there, or it could have been maybe he went back to Klondike, went there, and maybe eventually they didn't show where the grave is, but could have been maybe it was taken to Glasgow, or maybe it was somewhere else.
I'm on. He died a centurion in the 1960s. He suggested he returned to his love Goldie on his final journey. That was how Rosa saw it.
So he went to Klondike.
He died at 100. Whatever happened to Scrooge? Let me see if I can find that quickly.
That image.
Yep, here it is. It was written and drawn by him. Is this an actual comic or just an image?
I think it's just an image.
Yep, and you get an aged, everyone's aged.
Yeah.
Hold on.
One of those cases of less is more when it's just an image and not a story.
Just a moment. There we go. I think it's a good image to end this on.
Yeah.
Hey, Daisy, whatever happened to Scrooge? Is that what you asked? His final adventure is a tale that will probably never be allowed to be told. But it was a dilly. Fortuna Fabet Fortibus. That's the good image to end on. This was in 91.
Yeah. Life.
Oh, yeah. 100 lessons with you, dude. Well worth it.
Yeah. It has been.
Yep. Fun. This was something fitting to go, because I've been wanting to cover this with someone at some point. Maybe given a couple of years, I'll come back and do a proper issue by issue. But yeah. That was a lot of fun. And here's to another 100 lessons with you. And we'll see you guys all on the next one. Actually, no, before we wrap up, any other final thoughts? Or did you already say all you need to say?
Maybe as a reminder, well, or maybe not. It's not Scrooge. It's Donald. It's the third pillar in the Finnish literature, or seen as one of the three pillars when it comes to in the Finnish language. There's Mikael Agricola, who invented the language. There's Alexis Kivi, who is seen as the father of Finnish literature, and then there's Donald, who is the father of Finnish reading ability.
Nice. So yeah, thank you all for joining. Thanks everyone else. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Oops. Take care.
And may your heart